How's that skin fade, Jordan? How's that for you? Not bad. Not bad. Took him a daggone hour. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Stochastic. Good afternoon, actually. Welcome to Stochastic.com. Early, live before lock. What we got? 5-game action? You may think 6 if you're looking at the schedule, but game 1, Braves Cardinals, I think, is not on this one. Then you got a 7 o'clock later on in the day. So we got 5 games and a bunch of pitchers that you've potentially never heard of. So enjoy it. Also, Matt, by the way, Matt Belman with me. I'm Dave Loughran. I don't know if you've noticed this. Dallas Keuchel back in the mix.
Yeah, I noticed. We're at that point of the year, I guess, where he's already been traded, even though didn't even realize he was still in the big leagues. I mean, I don't even know. You know that meme where it's like the guy with the Gucci backpack, like that's hanging on by like one thread? Like, just let it go, bro. Just let it go.
Crazy. There was a time with Houston where Keuchel was really good.
Cy Young winner.
Yeah, really good. I mean, I always reference him as like the guy that had this remarkably high ground ball rate, but also could get some strikeouts. There was a time, man, he was really, really good. Matter of fact, it was when I like first started getting into DFS, the 2013, 2014, around there, where Keuchel was just dominant, you know? How about some of the other pitchers though today? Kiter Montero, spoiler alert, I'm getting to him. He's minimum salary. He can strike guys out. It's going to go wildly unsuccessfully, but here we are. How about Valente Belozo?
Yeah, how about him? That's all I got to say.
That's really all you got to say?
No, I mean, it's just a common theme on this slate. It's funny. You started with Dallas Keuchel. Normally, you'd look at a slate that has Dallas Keuchel on it, and you'd be like, man, he's definitely the pitcher I want to pick on. This slate has multiple guys that you probably want to pick on even more than Keuchel, but they're also unknowns. And we've seen plenty of times guys that don't project to be amazing come up and pitch well for whatever reason. And this slate is pretty ugly, but unlike, I know we had that one slate like last week or 2 weeks ago where all the pitching options were just horrendous. At least on this one, like you've got Arrighetti, who's in a great spot, even though he's not, the best pitcher in the world. Brady Singer, Eovaldi, like Spencer Turnbull. There's some actual decent arms on this slate. If there's not like, even though there's not any aces or anything close.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you've got. By the way, Hunter Brown, fellas. Are we going to have he's going to be like 8,100 next week. He went from like it's 7K to 8K. Another dominant performance yesterday. Again, what did he go? 6 scoreless innings with 7 Ks. Just another got the win. If you're on FanDuel or like underdog, you're taking fantasy points hires over there. You got the win. You got the quality start. No earned runs. Just it's a fully broken price point on him, truly. Also, Spencer Arrighetti, nowhere close to that, but he's going to be popular today.
I played one lineup in that big Millie Maker last night. What do you think Brown came in owned at? And I played him, of course.
75%.
78%.
Okay, yeah. As he should.
And I was like, damn, 22% of the field don't have Brown. Like, good luck.
Right. It's baseball. Weird shit happens, but just absolute smash spot against Colorado. He's been one of the best fantasy pitchers in baseball over the last 1.5 months. Let that sink in for a second.
The other thing about it was like, yeah, you could say, I'm not playing him because he's so highly owned. I get that. It's baseball. But like, who you playing? Because basically every other pitcher on last night's slate came in with huge question marks. Lugo ended up being really good, but like the other guys I liked, Mackenzie Gore was awful. Mitch Spence was just okay.
Hunter Green was terrible.
Yeah. So like, where else were you going? And yeah, certainly don't feel as strongly about Arrighetti as I did Hunter Brown, and like the Rockies more today than I did last night. But for today's purposes, in the context of this slate, he looks like pretty clearly the top pitching option. Do you agree?
Spencer Arrighetti, yeah. Old spaghetti head, yeah, I do. I think you have to, as gross as it is, and I got to a lot of him last time out. Cruz through his first 4 innings, and then against White Sox. Then that 5th inning just kind of imploded. Couldn't even get out of the 5th. He's nowhere near as good as Brown, but yeah, 7,100 is too cheap against that's the if you wanted to make an argument against Arrighetti, I'm all for it. But you have to consider his price point here. You have to consider his price point. That's the problem.
I'm with you totally. I think the only pushback I could give is like you said, he's not nearly as good as Brown, which is true. He just might not be good at all, though. Like Brown is good. I'm not saying he's an ace, but Arrighetti might stink. He's got strikeout upside. I know he's got a little bit of pedigree, but he hasn't showed a ton this year to say he's going to be a really good starter in the future. That being said, like I'm totally with you. And I do think he's probably better than his actual numbers show this year and his, underlying show that. So 6.36 ERA, 4.55 expected. I mean, 369 WOBA, 335 expected WOBA. So clearly been getting a little bit unlucky, and it's just the matchup and price like you're harping on.
He's not priced like he's good. That's the thing.
True.
Also, Colorado has a 0.2 run, a team total that's 0.2 runs higher than it was yesterday. They're not as big of dogs as they were. And what Houston was like minus 265 on the money line, minus 185 today. I think some of that has to do with the fact that Austin Gomber was on the mound, but still, yeah, it's a good spot. Sean in chat was talking about Turnbull having extra motivation. Tell me why, Sean. Why? Because he's facing the Tigers. His extra motive. He should be sending gift baskets to the Tigers. He's on a team that's essentially a World Series front runner, along with 2 or 3 other teams.
The second best team in the majors.
What's your motivation? Just to shit on their face and be like, you're still on a bad team and I'm on a good team, and now I'm going to mow you down. That seems
you were
mean.
supposed to reply to my second best team with who's the best team then.
Oh, is that what you said? Second best team?
Yes.
I mean, I assume you're going Yankees.
No, Cleveland, of course, just past Philly for the best record in baseball.
No, they have no shot. But they have no shot. You know it. I know it.
No shot at
a World Series title.
We'll see if they make a move or not. I don't think their roster constructed right now is good enough, but man, you are what your record says you are. And Stephen Kwan is having an insane year.
Who?
Stephen Kwan.
Yeah, he's been good. Ramirez is great. Here's the problem. They're running Carrasco out today. Like they're pitching.
Best bullpen in the majors.
Best bullpen in the majors, but their starting pitching is like probably 15th.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why they definitely need to make a move, but they're fucking fun to watch, man. And part of that is because they're not supposed to be this good. And they beat good teams. It's just one of those things. I agree. Like on paper, Philly's certainly better. I was just kind of making
I don't think Philly's the best team in the league. You didn't ask me.
I do.
I think Baltimore is.
Yeah, I get that too. Baltimore's right there. That's why I'm excited about Cleveland have taken the 2 out of the first 3 in Baltimore, going for a sweep today. Like
for sure.
I know that shit really doesn't matter, but it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing with Baltimore is, like how good can Grayson Rodriguez be?
Right.
How good can some of these guys with just seemingly really high ceilings, but still question marks? How good can they be?
For sure. Clearly they needed to get Corbin Burns, especially now because they've lost Radish, Means, and one other. I can't remember.
I can't either, but Bradish was a big one because he's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at their pitching rotation right now, and it's not that great. Like I'd take the Phillies pitching rotation over any of those other teams.
That's why I think Philly's the best team, is because their rotation's so good and their lineups really good. It falls off, but like whose doesn't fall off? And
Right.
especially if they make a move, like if they somehow get Luis Robert, like Philly is set up for playoff success in my mind. It's baseball, weird shit happens, but they're my World Series favorite right now.
Sean said it's his original team. He hates them. He said it himself. Spencer literally said it himself. And then Bug Boy said, Laffy doesn't dig that deep. You are 100% right that I don't dig deep on narratives for pitching. Why would
Yeah.
you? Well, no, seriously, why would how is anything even remotely quantifiable for something like that? What, he's going to throw harder? All right, maybe he throws harder, but his location is off. He's gonna be, what's he gonna be, more dialed in? Like if you tell me something like that for basketball, sure. You have motivation in basketball and you're a high usage player that brings the ball up the floor. Okay. Now I think differently because it's strictly a minutes and volume game. Like, how are you, Sean? I'm serious too. Like, if you can explain it to me, I'm willing to listen. Same with you, Bug Boy, because I don't dig deep enough on narrative spots. How 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 do you quantify that for a pitcher?
I was literally going to say the exact same thing you said about the basketball. Like, it's okay to like think about that stuff and like try to put it, but like, what's the, like, how are you actually like putting that into action? Like, what's the difference with Turnbull? Like, with pitching, I would even go as far to say that maybe if you're too amped up, that would make you pitch worse.
That's what I'm saying.
So we've seen Bobby Miller go back to his hometown Chicago twice and get absolutely destroyed with a ton of people in the stands. Like, was it because of that? No, but like it works both ways.
Yeah. Also, they're aiming for 70 pitches on Spencer Turnbull. He hasn't been in the rotation in a while since Taiwan Walker returned, but Walker's back on the 15-day IL. Turnbull threw 49 pitches, I believe, last time out. So they're aiming for 70 pitches. Deep enough, Bug Boy? Anyway, let's dig into this a little bit more, because if you're just talking about pitching on this slate, you have a few guys that are going to get significant ownership. Arrighetti, totally reasonable. I have a lot. The Montero spot is where I'm actually getting to some, and it feels gross. It's a bad matchup. Philly has a high implied total. All of that stuff. All of that. But also, he's $4,000 on DraftKings, which is a 2-pitcher site. Well, there's that. And the guy can get strikeouts. So we have to talk about him. There's no two ways around this. You can't just ignore this Montero spot. He's expected to be the long man, as gross as it may seem. If he's $4,000 and he ends up going like 5 innings with 1 earned and 6 Ks, you're going to absolutely need him. There's no doubt about it.
Forget the 1 earned. Say he goes 5 innings,
Yeah.
6 Ks, 4 earned runs.
Seriously.
I think you can totally, and I'm thinking about this as you're talking, you can 100% play at least one Philly bat with Montero also. Like 100%. Because part of my issue with Montero is like Philly looks like by far the best offense and they're the expensive team to get to. So in turn, like rostering Montero, you don't want to roster Philly with them. And I don't want to stack Philly with Montero, but man, this slate is so limited in terms of upside for pitching that at 4K, if Montero gets you 6 DraftKings points today, that could easily be fine.
Yeah. Right. First of all, we have him very low owned, but also Philly bats look very good. Like Philly still has a pretty high total here. But look at the other pitching. Like, okay, let's break it down. Let's do it this way. I think this will probably be better for you guys watching instead of us just, kind of going one by one and talking about them. Doesn't talk, it doesn't help all that much. Look at the only ones. The only other, like, okay, Nathan Eovaldi. Nathan Eovaldi is a good pitcher without question. He's also expensive. Milwaukee's good against right-handed pitching. They're very good against right-handed pitching. There's some strikeouts, not a ton. 4.3 run total, fine, but not the best matchup for Eovaldi at all. Brady Singer against Miami, that's objectively a good spot. I don't think anybody's denying that. It's a good spot for Singer, $8,700. Miami's not a good team. But then you have a 20% owned Ryan Feltner against Houston. 20% owned. Ryan Feltner against Houston. Graham Ashcraft is almost 20% owned against Pittsburgh. Again, not a bad spot, not a great pitcher. Luis Ortiz, Spencer Turnbull probably going excuse me, 70 pitches. Ooh. And Valente Belozo, Dallas Keuchel. That's who we have on this 5-gamer.
Yeah, and even like Brady Singer, who you talked about as, one of, if not the safest option on this slate, like even like, man, big ballpark upgrade for Miami. Like Singer's been pretty good this year, striking out more guys than he normally has throughout his career. But again, another guy with a 3.29 ERA, 4.64 expected. Like he's not a guy people have rostered in DFS for a couple weeks, at least for most of the season because of his price tag. Now all of a sudden he's really popular because just of the matchup and the slate. And I feel similarly with Arrighetti, like the chalk pitching options today are unstable, and that's just what it is. I don't think Arrighetti and Singer look particularly good, even in good matchups. I just think they look a lot better than the field. So that's just what we're working with today.
I hear you. And, Feltner hasn't even been bad. 3.88 xFIP is fine. You look at all of these numbers. Also, a guy that has to pitch at Coors, which, isn't exactly helpful. 20% K rate. You want to talk, this is a guy that you'd be okay having as your like 5th pitcher though. It's still not an exciting arm. 6K, 20% ownership. This is a tough one. So yes, it's gross, but Kiter Montero is in play at $4,000 minimum salary, the dead min.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you think about it like Montero versus Feltner. I understand why Feltner's getting much more ownership because he's more of a known commodity, and he's not awful, but he's not good either. And he's in a bad spot in Houston against the Astros. So like, I totally understand getting to Montero. Especially if you're playing like 150, he's only coming in at 9% owned. Like it's pretty easy to get double that on a slate like this, especially if you just cross some pitchers off that you have no interest in. One guy I want to ask you about though is Keuchel. For our tools, he is like by far the highest leverage pitcher on the slate. When you take out Turnbull because of the 70 pitch max, the gap's even wider. Texas stinks against lefties. They haven't been great against basically anyone recently. And man, he is not a good DFS pitcher. And I think you can certainly look to Texas bats, but just talked about it with Montero and Feltner. I don't think you need much on this slate. And he's getting 3% ownership while Feltner's getting 20. Just something to think about.
The part that's troublesome for me is that there's just no strikeout stuff there at all.
I agree, but
how does he get there?
By just going 5-6 innings, striking out 3, not allowing, 4 hits, 1 run, while every other pitcher does something similar, which is not out of the realm at all on this slate. And a bunch of these pitchers are going to get hit hard and blown up. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So just surviving at SP2, I think is worth something today.
He's been pretty good at the minor league level. At least this month. Prior to that, not so much. But yeah, look, if you were to tell me that you were getting off a 20% Ryan Feltner to some Dallas Keuchel, I'm not gonna fault you for that. It's a shame that there's no props listed on guys like Keuchel or Montero. Is Keuchel official yet? Is he official? Earlier today, it was just, that's what we were all projecting for, but I hadn't looked to see if it was official.
I'm seeing him everywhere.
Okay. It's crazy. I didn't even know he was still around.
I mean, I'll ask you this, like to kind of piggyback the question back to you. What's more appealing about Feltner than Keuchel?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not much. Aside from the fact that Feltner has actually pitched at the major league level this year.
Yeah, I'm with that. Like, and I totally understand that. And I'm not even sitting here saying that Keuchel looks better than Feltner because I don't think he does. I just don't think they look that much different for the ownership, disparity. That being said, I understand why Feltner's getting more love because he is much more of a proven commodity in 2024. Again, I just don't think the ownership lines up with how it should. And it's not just Feltner either. Graham Ashcraft as well, who I like even worse than Feltner.
I don't know if you'd call him a commodity. But I know what you mean. Graham Ashcraft, strikeout prop. The line's at 5.5, but just massive juice to the under. So let's see here. And then there's some 4.5. It's not, they don't look bad. I understand why he's getting some love here. I do. What about Eric? What do you think? I'm going to take a guess. Spencer Arrighetti's strikeout prop. It's got to be. Wow, I was going to say 5.5. It's 6.5.
Yeah, I was going to say 6.5. Wow.
6.5 K prop plus 110 on the over. Yeah, the total pitching outs 15.5, earned runs 1.5. So that's another one. Like you look at earned run, the line on earned runs, it's 1.5. Slight juice to the over, but still, you're talking about. So you look at this, it's projecting for 6 strikeouts, wow. 5 1/3 or so innings and 1.5 earned runs. So yeah, plus he's a -185 favorite.
This matchup is king. We have been projected as the second highest pitcher overall on either slate today, ahead of Ryan Pepio, who's pitching right now, and ahead of Luis Heel, ahead of George Kirby, who's pitching right now. Like, I don't know. I think Arrighetti's risky, but considering the other options, I think you just eat the Arrighetti chalk and move on personally.
Agreed. By the way, love to see you guys talking sports betting in chat. Josh and I have done a lot of that lately. Homer parlay yesterday, only 1 of 3. Your boy right here, Anthony Santander. Homer, late in that game. I got done my hockey game. I checked. I see, oh, boom, we got it. And we activated the promo code over at OddsShopper as well. If you're not there yet, you want to check it out. Every single Tuesday, we do the Dinger Tuesday promo where all of us give out a homer. If only one of them hits, only one of them has to hit. Yesterday, our boy, Santander. If only one of them hits, you get the first week for $1. That's it. An entire week for the premium Discord with all the expert picks, all of that stuff, the expert picks page, the market-based tools, the parlay builder, the results tool, the bet tracker, everything across the board. You've got it for a single $1. I think you'll love it. I don't see why you wouldn't. It's very good stuff. I use it every single day. Every day I bet them on odds. It's the first thing I do when I get up. But yeah, check it out for $1. Link in the description. You'll see it right down there. Scroll down a little bit, the description, OddsShopper Premium. Click on that. It'll get you your first week. Let's keep talking betting, man. It's fun to mix in betting with DFS. And if you don't think so, eventually you'll come around. You'll turn a corner. Come join us. Say what's up in Discord, though. You'll love it. But yeah, Arrighetti's 6.5 strikeout prop is wild. Let's see what Brady Singer's at.
I got one more thing to say about
Go ahead. I'm
Keuchel.
pulling this up anyway.
Yeah, just about Keuchel. Again, I never care about like one batter in MLB, but when that hitter is Corey Seager and he's out of the lineup, man, that just helps Keuchel because Seager is a stud, and the Rangers lineup isn't that great to begin with. So no Seager today definitely boosts my interest in Keuchel.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Max, yeah, I saw Portnoy's. What did he bet? 200,000 on the Phillies to win the World Series.
Yeah,
Funny
my dark horse is still Seattle.
Those bats just need to wake up. I mean, they're hitting so many days is just putrid.
Yeah, their hitting is not good. They strike out way too much.
Phenomenal. So yeah,
I am worried about their pitching on the road, which is why ultimately I like Philly a lot more. But I think Seattle's like got kind of the foundation of a potential really, really good team.
Yeah. The bats just need to wake up. If they don't, even with that pitching, it's not going to take you there. Like you can't score like 2 runs a game and just have and I'm not saying they do every game, but you know what I mean? You're going to be going up against good pitching in the playoffs as well. Starts
I know
to,
exactly what you mean. It's funny. They got rid of Teoscar Hernandez and Eugenio Suarez because they struck out too much.
and now they have the highest K rate in
Yeah.
baseball.
Right.
I don't know. Evaldi, 5.5K prop. So that's what you're looking at for pretty much all these guys. Brady Singer at 4.5 though. So not a lot of strikeouts in that lineup. Not a lot of strikeouts for Brady Singer. If you were to break down who your favorite pitchers were outside of Arrighetti, who would it be?
Man, you know, a lot of this is ownership. So I'm gonna say we established Arrighetti as the number one. I'll go Eovaldi number two. I like him more than Singer, even in a tougher matchup. Singer, I'm not buying what he's selling, and Miami doesn't strike out a ton. Like they're not good, but they're not the best strikeout matchup. They're middle of the pack. So Arrighetti, Eovaldi, and then I'm going Keuchel. 3% ownership, 17% chance of being a top two pitcher. Like, yeah, give me Keuchel here. As scary as that is.
Okay. I'm going Arrighetti, kind of have to. After that, I know there aren't a ton of strikeouts, but I think this is one of those slates where it's probably less important, especially if you're just decent and Brady Singer's decent in a good matchup. Brady Singer. Is the weather super hot and brutal there again? Because I think winds are blowing in.
No. Yeah, I think the weather has shifted a bit. I'm sure it's hot, but
Yeah,
not like we've
82,
seen.
that's fine. 82, 84. Winds blowing in at 10 miles per hour. Because the last 2 days in at Kauffman Stadium are wild for hitting weather.
Even though no
So-
one's hit.
Yeah. Although, I mean, Munoz gave up 3 homers. It's just they were all solo shots.
You are correct.
Yeah, I'll go Singer here. Pretty decent spot. And then pinch your nose, fellas. Kiter Montero. The dead minimum salary. I really have no issues with it. I really don't.
I guess
mean,
my question would be like, if you're going there though, like why do you need to go there over Feltner and these other guys? Because I feel like the only real expensive bats are Philly.
Well, I can tell you the Sims are giving me 38% Montero. Would you like me to pull up my lineup exposures with Montero in it and tell you what the stacks are? I can do that.
I would love that.
Okay.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, it is.
That's crazy. I'm like, now yeah, wow.
All right. So 5-2 Reds, Pittsburgh, 5-man Kansas City, 3-2-2 Colorado, Cincy, Kansas City, 4-3 Cincinnati, Houston, 2-2 Milwaukee, Colorado. So that's barely even stacked. That's not even a stack. 5-man Cincy, 5-3 Milwaukee, Houston, 4-3 Houston, Cincinnati. A bunch of 2-2s in there as well. 5-man Kansas City's. So yeah, that's what it is. So it's like the top of the order, meat of the order Houston bats, which they're not crazy expensive, but they're up there. Kansas City. Who else did I? Oh, Cincinnati, right? Cincinnati.
Yeah, you said Cincy a bunch.
God, that team is banged up.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
And Candelario's out of the lineup. That 1, 2. Yeah, they got a lot of guys that just Encarnacion Strand. Wow. But yeah,
they haven't had Matt McClain all year.
I'm gonna rerun this because I ran it earlier too. Let me rerun this and tell you if I get anything different. We can do that while we get into some stacks. Any other pitching, because we're always trying to dig out some potential value, some contrarian options. Any other pitching that interests you?
I don't think so. No, I mean, no.
Okay. No Luis Ortiz.
I don't like the pitchers in that game. Obviously, great ballpark for hitting. Ashcraft is getting love. I like Ortiz more than him, given the ownership discount, but I don't think he's very good and just not a great ballpark. So not for me.
What about Valente Bellozo?
No, because he's not min price, and I just like the Keuchel's, your boy Montero's more. He's got by far the lowest top two pitcher percentage. So yeah, I just don't really see the need to play him over like a Keuchel or Montero or Feltner in limited lineups.
All right. There's no way am I even pronouncing that right?
Yeah, Valente Beloso. Good boy.
Beloso. Maybe.
Sounds like a nice Philly kid.
All right. Let's get to it. I'm rerunning this now. Jordan, rerun it on your side too, because we just updated at 12:18. So things may begin to look a little bit different there. Talk some stacks, get some bats in here. Oh, also, guys, I mentioned it yesterday. This runs out. Well, you got PGA tomorrow. And the contests for PGA are truly absurd. I mean, other than football, is there anything as big as the PGA contest that you get every week? I really don't think there are. Like, you have a good handful of milli makers every single year. Tomorrow, the Summer Sand Trap, 800K, 200K up top. And we're doing 20% off any PGA Sims package. You don't need to use the promo code. Just use the link in the description and the chat. Would you like to know why we're doing 20% off? I'll tell you. Because James Roach, or Kevin Roach, because it's different based on the name from the tweet or on the screenshot, took down 200K last week in the Summer Sand Trap. Took down the 800K PGA Summer Sand Trap, rocking the stochastic avatar, using the PGA Sims. With only, what did he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 lineups in that as well. So shout out to James. And if you decide you want to take advantage of it, 20% off the entirety of everything we have for PGA, Sims, contest generator, post-lock simulator, ownership, top golfer tool, player projections, Discord, lineup generator, all of that, 20% off. Thank James Roach for taking down 200K. But yeah, great stuff. Today's the last day to take advantage if you want to jump in and try it out. Well worth it. Build better lineups, win more money. That's how it works, right? Anyway, let's talk about some bats here. Oh, and go to stochastic.com/HOF if you want to just get the avatar and win a free month of everything on your own. Stochastic.com/HOF. Just download the avatar. Use it wherever it is you play. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. Tweet us your wins at Stochastic HOF. It is that simple. Awesome prizes. We completely revamped it. Check it out. Just go to the page, even if you don't want to do it. Check out all the cool prizes we have. You can win a bunch of times a year, get rewarded every single time just by rocking the avatar. Anyway, top stacks for today. So I'm refreshing the top stacks tool right now. I have a decent idea of what things are going to look like, but digging into this now, yeah, it is flat. Philly, Kansas City, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Texas, and Houston are all between 10 and 15% top stack probability right now, Matt.
Yeah, and like looking at this slate from a 30,000-foot view, it makes sense. I mean, pretty much every offense on this slate, aside from a select couple, Colorado, Miami, look really appealing. Milwaukee. And even those teams, when you start to think about the game theory aspect of DFS, start to become in play. So this is really a slate where, every offense has a place in tournaments. Certainly, I think Philly and the Royals are my top 2, but it's flat. Milwaukee, Miami, Colorado, and Detroit are like the 4 outsiders here, but every other team wildly in play. It's a very good stack.
Kyle asked, is the St. Louis or Cincinnati weather spots concerning for you? Don't have to worry about the St. Louis spot. Cincinnati for pitching more than hitting. Like, I don't think this game runs a real risk of being delayed, or I'm sorry, of being completely washed out. But I do think there's a possibility that you see a delay. So if that's the case, yeah, you worry a little bit more for pitching, not so much hitting. I really don't worry about it for hitting, Matt, because if you assume it's a delay, then you're just digging into the bullpen anyway, and who cares about that? Like, they're probably not going to be bringing out the big guns from the bullpen in long relief.
especially in a day game like this. You talk about this a lot. Like they've got so much time to play these games. It's not like there's crazy weather. It just might be a delay or two. Like for bats, that can be seen as a good thing with you.
Right. Muhammad said kind of like Miami today. Well, let's dig into it. Yeah, Brady Singer has just done a phenomenal job. But here's the problem: done a great job of limiting power at home, and with those winds blowing in, it doesn't help. It doesn't mean you can't hit for power. Shit, you had winds blowing out. It was 400 degrees, and you still weren't getting a ton of runs in that series. So the opposite's certainly possible. Okay, so Miami, just looking at top stack here, we have them. We have them slightly positively leveraged. 1% positive leverage. Where do we have them as stack score is more important here? 7th out of 10, ahead of Detroit, Colorado, and Milwaukee. Cincinnati has the highest stack score in our tools right now, which is pretty interesting. What's that lineup look like today?
I think it's pretty similar to what they've been running out there. India leading off, who's been red hot. This is another one. The back half of their lineup is atrocious. The top half is good though.
Yeah. Losing Candelario though doesn't help.
Nah, that's why the back half, man. Maybe Luis Ortiz. Like, I'm not gonna play him, but the Cincy stack for me doesn't look great because, yeah, I think the top four, India, De La Cruz, Steer, Stevenson, even Martini, look good. Those are going to be the guys that people own. So if you want to get different with Cincinnati, you got to roster Espinal down, and I don't really want any part of those guys in like 3 max type stuff. So Cincinnati is not as high on my list as I think it is on yours or the Fields.
Would you play Ortiz?
I don't hate it, but I don't think it like I don't love it, I should say, but I don't think it's like different than all the other crappy cheap guys we've talked about. I mean, why is Dallas Keuchel or Ryan Feltner better? Like they're not.
Right. Did Brett Rooker homer yesterday?
He did.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we were, because Clayton said, did you and Josh end up with Rooker on playback yesterday? Yeah. So we had Santander. Josh actually, matter of fact, Josh had Rooker for the Dinger Tuesday promo, and that ended up hitting. So Josh went with Rooker. I went with Santander. Both of them hit. Yeah. So we did. We had them. Betting home runs is very fun. You should do it. Very fun. But that's what we had. That was a fun playback show. I can't. Oh, actually, hold on. I reran the Sims. I meant to tell you guys what I have. Let's see, because we just updated. If you guys are Sims, I know a lot of you guys use the Sims and lineup generator or just the tools like ownership, top stacks, top pitchers, all that stuff. If you use that, it updated at 12:18, so we're good. Player exposure. It looks very similar. I should say though, I have 19% Luis Ortiz and 17% Feltner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only guys I'm not getting to, I have a little bit of Spencer Turnbull, which is interesting given the pitch count, 7% Graham Ashcraft. So the only guys I'm not getting to are, let's see here. It would be Keuchel. And who am I missing? Oh, the Bozo.
Yeah, Biardo. What is it?
Belozo.
Belozo, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm okay with that. One of those weird slates anyway. Really weird slates, but no, I'm getting none of him. 0. 0 of him, 0, 0 Dallas Keuchel. Pretty much where I'm at right now. Let's look at stack. So stack exposure. Did anything change? Still a lot of Cincy, Kansas City, and Pittsburgh, and some Houston against Feltner. Not a lot of Texas, Matt. Not a lot of Miami. Not a lot of Detroit against Turnbull, and a good bullpen for Philly. Very little Colorado. And then Philly, I'm getting a good amount of like 3 and 4 man stacks, but not much in the way of 5 man exposure.
No, and I will say, like, This kind of reminds me of a slate we had over the weekend. I did a show with EMAC, and I was like, man, Philly 1 through 5 is so expensive. They're not going to be that highly owned as a stack. And they weren't. Unfortunately, I played JP Sears that day, who had minus 18 fantasy points. But nonetheless, Philly's top 5 went nuts that day. And I do think we'll see something similar today where all of them have ownership, but together it's going to be really hard to stack them like 1 through 5. And I'm definitely interested in doing that.
Me too. Max asks who's starting for Detroit, Holton or Montero. It's Holton's opening. I don't know how much, I don't know how far he's going to go. Honestly, Matt, the more I think about it, right? You could say a couple of innings, but I'm thinking, and hear me out. I'm thinking if he gets through the first inning, 1, 2, 3, does he even come back out? Because he's a lefty. So you've got Schwarber and Harper at the top of that lineup, 2 lefty spots, the top 3. Then you've got Belman, Castellanos. So I wouldn't be surprised if Montero, the righty, came out in the second inning if Holton gets through the first inning clean.
I totally agree with you. My question would be if it gets to Castellanos in the first inning, does Holton come out then?
Yeah, right. Well, probably not. No, because you have Stott, Marsh, David Dahl, and Stubbs. They have 7 lefties in the lineup today.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you're right.
6.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
The bottom half is jammed with lefties. 6 through 9 are all lefties. It's kind of, yeah, that's a weird roster configuration for Philly. Obviously expecting to face a righty, but yeah, interesting. I don't know. They must not be expecting to see a ton of Tyler Holton either. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing with Kansas City right now? Because it's not, I mean, it's still warm there. It's not a great homer park. It's a great doubles and triples park. And we really don't know all that much about the Bozo.
Bad bullpen for Miami. Kansas City has let down past couple of days. They've been pretty bad offensively for like a couple weeks now. So I'm not as excited about rostering them in this spot as I might have been like, again, a few weeks ago, but that's really negligible. I think their upside is massive here. Because yeah, while they've been cold and they haven't had, much success against anyone recently, that doesn't mean their upside's any lower. And in a spot like this, I think they could fully capitalize on it. For me, I think Philly and Kansas City look like pretty clearly the top 2 teams. And I'm happy ownership is pretty spread out because, yeah, they're getting love, but so are the other 4 teams. So I like KC a lot here. I think you could say that they're the top stack because of their price points. If not, right behind Philly, who is clearly more expensive.
Looking at some of these lesser owned, lesser projected stacks, like Miami against Singer just doesn't look very good. Detroit against Turnbull is a tough one. Although, Sean, what if we just flip your narrative and say that Turnbull comes out there and he's just too fired up and he gets smoked? What about that? What about that, Matt? Turnbull gets smoked. He's all over the place. Then he just starts lobbing shit over the zone just to some get me over fastballs.
Yeah. I mean, what if the guys on Detroit are like, we cannot let this Spencer Turnbull come back to Detroit and carve us up? Like what if that's their,
Yeah, 100% hand-eye coordination boost engaged.
Yeah,
that's exactly how they do it. That's how it happens in baseball, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Still hard to get to Detroit. There's just no 2 ways around that. Really, Cincy looks pretty good. Philly looks pretty good. Some negative leverage, but they're not that high owned. They're not really that popular. It does suck, though, to your point, that if Kiter Montero was facing any other team on this slate, and I mean literally any other team on this slate, I'd probably have a lot more Philly. Actually, I think a lot more people would have a lot more Montero and a lot more Philly, going back to your original point of like, all right, let me jam the best stack, assuming Philly's not facing a good pitcher. Like, let me jam the top stack and just get a 4K Montero in there. How easy would that be?
Yeah, I wish he were facing anyone else. I
Would
think it would
you
be a
be
lot.
willing to play 2 Philly bats with him in the lineup? Or
I think
just one?
so. I think you can play two, man. And I think that's a really good way to get different because Philly hits home runs. And there's a couple things in play here.
They
Like,
only hit
is it,
solo shots too.
is it the most like optimal on paper? No, but to win tournaments, like that doesn't matter. You throw all that shit out because on any given day, you're going to need random lucky stuff to happen. Secondly, Montero's 4K. So a lot of times when I talk about like bats against the pitcher, it's priced, you have to think about it as how expensive or inexpensive the bats and pitchers are. Philly bats are expensive, but Montero is so cheap. We don't expect him to go out and throw a no-hitter today. If he gets us 13 fantasy points, we'll be happy. And in that case, Philly can get to him a little bit. They can certainly get to the Detroit bullpen. I certainly think it's viable. You don't have to, but it's viable.
Yeah. I mean, we've done some weird slates on these early live before locks. There was one where, who was it? It's our guy too. I can't remember who it was, saying that he was going to play both pitchers from the same team the one day.
Oh, no, but it was the one of them was like the guy coming in from,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was Tampa, wasn't it? I think it was the Rays.
I can't remember.
Either way, didn't work out particularly well, but it happened. Yeah. You look at the implied totals on these teams too. Even though there's some bad pitching, the totals aren't that high. Texas is still sub 5. Houston's sub 5. Pittsburgh's sub 5, so under 5. Kansas City, Philly, and Cincinnati are the 3 highest at 5-3, 5-3, and 5-4 respectively.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a tough slate to separate the teams that look good. There's a clear separation between the teams that do look good and don't look good, but then deciphering between the groups is difficult.
If you're building one lineup today, what do you start with and what do your bats look like?
Definitely start with Arrighetti. And I think that you can certainly play it safe and roster Eovaldi or Singer with him. I'm really leaning towards your Montero call and Luis Ortiz. Really cheap, low owned. In Montero's case, he's got much higher strikeout upside. Like Montero is the clear GPP guy where his floor is super low, but his ceiling is also high. Ortiz's floor isn't crazy high, but not as low as Montero's, and his ceiling isn't as high. So I think that's where I'm looking at pitcher. And then stacks, it's about Philly and KC for me. Mixing in like Yordan Alvarez. I wouldn't hate someone for playing, Colorado against Arrighetti, but that's not where I'm focusing on.
Do you have a home run pick? It can be for either slate. This is from a betting perspective because I have one. Rafael Devers against Ariel Rodriguez. Like that quite a bit. Winds blowing out, double-digit mile per hour, left field, hot at Fenway Park. Rodriguez leans on fastball slider, even against lefties. And Devers is mashing fastball and slider against righties this year. Not to mention he's just crushing righties. If you look at the best the best righty mashers, as Davis Maddock and I used to say back in our fantasy insider days, if you look at the best righty mashers in the league, you've got Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Gunnar Henderson, and Rafael Devers. Like those guys, albeit Devers being a little bit behind guys like Ohtani and Judge, but he's right in the thick of it. He's in absolute elite company today. So kind of shorter odds on this one, but I like it. Plus 290, I got it on FanDuel for Devers against Rodriguez. Some good homer spots in these later games for sure. Got anything you like?
Sorry, I was like, what, did my headphones go out? What's going on? I'm gonna give a homer from the early slate. And as much as I've talked about Keuchel being in play, give me Marcus Semien to hit a homer off him today.
All right, I dig it. Ryan Stubbs has Harper. I'm not gonna fault you for that one, dude, because Harper can go lefty lefty too. Flex Fairchild. Rob Gunnar Henderson. I like Gunnar Henderson a lot too, Rob, for sure. What are Gunnar Henderson's odds? Because I did an underdog video. I do it on OddsShopper every single day. Got back on track. Went 2-0 yesterday. That was nice. Went a little chalky. Hunter Brown and Ohtani hires, but Ohtani first plate appearance homer, and Brown mowed down the Rockies. Today though, I had Gunnar Henderson over fantasy points higher fantasy points on underdog as well. And if you're not in legal betting states, underdog's a great place to play pick'em. We have the tools at OddsShopper too, but 50% first match bonus up to $250, instant bonus as well. So you don't have to max that out, but if you wanted to, you can, and it's going to get you a really nice instant bonus straight into your account. No drip bonus bullshit or anything like that. Link in the description. Jordan can throw it in the chat. Like Clayton said earlier, he can't bet online in Georgia. Well, you got pick'em contest and underdog's a great place to do it. So Gunnar Henderson, because this spot's I mean, he's going up against Carrasco, who doesn't strike guys out. It's windy again. Watch the weather in these late games, a lot of them, but wind blowing out. Henderson is destroying righties as well. Plus 375 to homer. We do have the true odds at plus 428. But if you can find a boost there, which can just create this as a plus EV play, then that does look interesting. And for what it's worth, it's plus 375 on BetMGM, and Caesars only plus 330 on FanDuel. So just make sure you're betting that in the right spot. Muhammad, Reynolds, and Alvarez. The Cabbage Man. Tovar, Max Video. That's a ballsy one. Tovar double dong. All right. Couple Brian Reynolds in there. You got anybody else you love? Riley Green. John, I threw Riley Green in our Discord the other day. I dropped that one at like 6 a.m. At plus 560, I think we got him at. And Green ended up hitting, which was nice. Second plate appearance. Boom. When you hit those, it's a great feeling. If you're doing the $1 for the OddsShopper week, join our Discord. It's really fun. We got picks flowing all day long. Anything else before we go, Matt?
I don't think so. I love the gumption on the Tovar double dong. Love to hear it. And yeah, I'll give one more. I'll go Hunter Renfroe.
Okay. Renfroe?
I feel like Kansas City is about to pull an okie doke on people. Really chalky the past couple days and great hitting weather. Didn't get there today. Weather isn't quite as good, but arguably in a better spot on paper. And this Kansas City team, kind of like Arizona, when they go off, they put up a ton of runs. So
it's true.
It's what I'm rooting for today.
It's true. Brandroid, Trey Turner. Yeah, I don't hate that.
Love that.
Rob with Naylor. Which one? I mean, we all know which one. Max Carson Kelly.
Bo Naylor is red hot right now, though. I know he meant Josh Naylor, but the catcher is also red hot.
He is. He is. Another interesting thing with Henderson, too. Good base stealing matchup here. That Carrasco and Naylor battery is not exactly, I was digging into that today, not exactly the best when it comes to stopping stolen bases. Gunnar Henderson's 4-1, plus 400 to steal a base today. I don't hate that. You know, he has 13 or 14 stolen bases on the year. Guy does everything.
He's insane.
He does everything.
Him or Witt.
Yeah. So
who you taking?
If he walks and just gets on board, that's a good base stealing matchup. My guess is he goes. Chalk that one up. I'm going to bet that. Remember, we talked about this. So go Gunnar Henderson. Maybe we'll even parlay a home run and stolen base. Nah, now we're getting ahead of ourselves. But
Gunnar Henderson or Witt, who you taking?
For what?
For just you're building an MLB team and you can choose one.
Oh
Like
shit. Either I put
either,
names in a
yeah.
hat. I really
They're
I
like
don't
two
even-
of the top 5 guys, 3 guys you take probably.
exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't I don't
Totally
even
with
have it.
you.
I don't have a real thought on that. Just give me either of them. They're phenomenal, phenomenal guys to build a major league offense around. They're great. But yeah, 4-1, I'll take that. I like that. Anyway, we'll see you guys back here for the next one. Good luck today. Remember, live before lock tonight. What do we have? A 6-game, I think, 6-game slate tonight? Because that 6 p.m. game isn't included. Yeah, we got 6 games tonight. Some pretty good ones as well. That should be a fun slate. I expect to see, assuming weather holds up. It's a weird night for weather. There's like 3 or 4 games with issues, but I expect to see a good amount of offense in that one. Ryan Nelson on the mound. You know, Fedde's going up. Or I'm sorry, Manaya's going up against the Yankees. Yeah, Yariel Rodriguez against Boston in that weather should be good. What do you know about Hayden Birdsong?
Not much.
Hayden
Hayden
Wesneski.
Birdsong.
Hayden Wesneski against Hayden Birdsong to close the slate out between the Cubs and the Giants. All right, I got to get out of here. And I know Jordan
That's
has
so
a haircut
good.
to
That's
get
so
to.
good.
We'll see you guys back here. Appreciate you hanging. Hit that thumbs up when you go. Goes a long way for us, and we'll catch you back here for the next one. Peace.